Hello, everybody. It's Greg Harrelson here from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I just want to welcome you to the Harrelson Hangout, where I take one of my agents every month, and I actually have a live coaching call and just let anyone to log in, just kind of eavesdrop in a sense, and see what we're up to, and just kind of hear how I take the my agents through the process on a monthly basis of looking at some of the things that they're doing and giving them some ideas on what they could do to improve their business. I mean, the goal for me is to help my agents grow their business. So I've got a guy that's been with me for I think 18 months, and this is Jeff Buehler. Jeff, say hey to everybody.
Hello.
Good. So Jeff has been he has been with me for 18 months. Prior to that, Jeff was with another company in my market, and he was with them for about 18 months apparently. Again, it was a competitor of mine, and I just want to share a little bit of information about what he was doing, just real quick. But he came into the business, so he's been in the business a total of 3 years. Came into the business and started doing some short sales and got a good understanding. Of course, a lot of people were doing short sales, so he got in, kind of jumped on the little short sale wagon, and then boosted it up, boosted his business up to 14 transactions in a year, which is really solid. Of course, then as we know, that's a dying market, and it's a declining market or a declining niche, and of course found himself declining, his business declining, and reaching about 6 deals, I think, before he came to me. I mean, he was on pace of doing about 6 deals a year when he came to me. And right now, 18 months later, he's going to close 24 transactions with a goal of 40 plus. As a matter of fact, we'll probably talk about his goals. He's telling me his goal is 40 deals, but of course, I think that's a little bit light. So we're gonna address that issue at some point in today's hang up. And I'm going to ask him, what is he resisting and what's really keeping him from skipping 40, and why not we just go to 50 or 60? So Jeff, tell me this. I mean, I guess what caused you to make a switch of companies? Again, this has nothing to do with another company, but what was going in through your mind? What was happening when you came over to our company?
Well, I excuse me, knew that I needed. I was looking for accountability. I was looking for coaching, and I was looking at outside coaching resources.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was kind of doing that and researching, I mean, you were popping up, and it just made sense that why not have a coach who's right here in my marketplace that I could really kind of take advantage of and have next to me all the time, so on a daily basis. And then that's when we met and had kind of just talked.
Good. So you've been with me for 18 months. And as a matter of fact, I stand up in my prospecting room. I stand up every day in the middle of my agents, and it just happens that Jeff is the agent that's standing right next to me. So we actually get to connect quite a bit, whether or not we're talking or just standing by each other. We're literally connecting every day. So, but let's back up 18 months ago, and you first came to the company. What was your first 30 days like coming over to our office?
It was a big change. Kind of felt like the new kid in school, and actually growing up. Excuse me. As an Air Force brat, traveled a lot of different areas, obviously, and so went from different schools, and you go from one part of the country to another, and everyone's kind of language is a little different, and that's really how I felt was coming in here. It's like a whole new language, a whole new kind of demeanor of people, and so at first it was a little uncomfortable, but then quickly realized that there was a lot of support. So
Got it. Yeah. What would you say made you uncomfortable? I'm just kind of curious.
Because the atmosphere was different than what I was used to, right? So
Yeah.
So it was new. It was new and different. So I didn't know where did I fit in, I guess, and I'm
Gotcha.
looking around, and like you said, I mean, at that time you were kind of to the left, 3 over from me, in front of me, and so just hearing everyone always on the phone, and I'm kind of standing there like, just not as confident, and going, wow, these guys really are just on point here,
Got it.
and
Got it. Yeah. So now you got past your first 30 days. and you didn't leave, so that was a good thing. We're happy that you're still with us. But say 6 months, 6 months later, explain to me what was going on in your mind then.
Well, then confidence started to build and grow. I was starting to see the results of the work that I put into. I was getting listings and closing them, and so I could see that this works, and getting more comfortable with things. And then really just from it was really probably about month 6 or 7 that I really just started to embrace the system and the process, and started really utilizing the scripts and the coaching that was available, and just stopped resisting.
Okay. Well, good. So, I mean, there was some point that you mentioned something to me, and I know what it is because I've said this a few times, and I think you know what it is. And I just want to, kind of start off today's coaching call with your statement in mind. And but I remember I got a text from you, and tell everybody about the text that you sent me.
I think it went, I'm a power phrase, went something to the effect of, all I need to do is make the contacts and then make more contacts. There's got to be something more to it than just that. This is too easy. Somewhere
Yes.
along those lines, right? There had to be more, because you're telling us just do this, and it's like, no, Greg, there's got to be more to it than this. And
Yes. So what it really was, or what it was, to kind of clean it up a little bit, Jeff, is we were having a conversation, and basically one time you texted me and you said, "I get it."
oh, okay.
You had an aha moment,
Mhm.
and basically what you said was you had a hard time initially believing that what I was coaching you on was actually going to work, because you had a hard time believing how easy it was. And you just resisted believing that simple would actually get you to the next level. And I want, that's very critical, because we're going to talk today about 2015. And one of my concerns about anybody I'm coaching right now is they set a goal for 2015, and guess what they start doing? They start getting worried that in order to do more, they're going to either have to work harder, they're going to have to give up some balance, they're going to have to, maybe not get to as much family time. People have this perception that in order to get more, that you have to do more. And I'm not saying that you don't have to work hard, but the key is working smart. And what you'll find, Jeff, is you're likely to experience the same resistance, and that is when you start to grow, you might start to make up in your mind again that it's going to be hard.
Right.
And until you actually will surrender and just accept that it is simple and it can be done in a very simple fashion, that's when you'll break through. So I want you to think that 40 deals or more is going to be simple in 2015, because and I always want you to remember that text that you sent me when you said that it's not, I think you said it's simple but not easy. I think that was another quote that you actually said. It's simple but it's not easy. But the reality is it is simple, and you did some simple things, and when it comes to making contacts, and you had a breakthrough. So you mentioned something to me before we started this recording, or this taping earlier today, and you said, how many deals are you going to do this year? 24. No, I'm sorry, 2014.
Yeah, 24.
Okay, so 24 deals, and you were doing 6 deals before you came here. So how many contacts? Now here, I want everyone to listen to this. When you did 6 deals, how many contacts did you average per day for that year, approximately?
I have no idea.
Okay. When you did this year, as you're doing 24 deals, what is your average contacts per day this year?
24.
24. Okay, interesting. The number of contacts that he did daily equals the number of deals he closes that year. That's an aha moment right there. Everybody should understand. By the way, that is a basic fundamental rule of the Mike Ferry organization. When a newer person comes into business, the number of contacts you make, Jeff, will equal the number of transactions that you do on an annual basis. So the number of contacts you make per day. Now, what's going to be great is in 2015, that number is going to start to shift, and you're going to see that you make, let's say you want to, it won't take you 50 contacts to do 50 deals.
Right.
Because your skills are getting much, much better. So your conversion rate from list and appointment to list and taken is going to improve. Your conversion rate from offer an offer received to offer negotiated is going to improve, and offer ratified or negotiated to offer that actually closes. Your fall is going to also decrease. So all of those things are going to factor in to you building a bigger business in 2015. So I just wanted to kind of start off by saying that to those that are listening, that the number of contacts made equal the number of deals closed. So let's go ahead and start talking about you a little bit more. So tell me. Go ahead, please.
The importance of tracking those numbers, because you asked me, well, how many did I do when I did 6? I had no idea because I didn't track those. So being able to look at my numbers every day, for this past year, and tracking it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc.
That's huge. That is so important, Jeff, that you said that, and that is true, because we're going to use this 24 contacts per day as one of the variables that we're going to discuss when we're building your 2015 plan. And if you didn't know your numbers, if you would not have tracked your numbers throughout the year and didn't know this number, then we would just be kind of we'd be throwing a dart, trying to hit the dartboard in the dark. We wouldn't exactly know. We wouldn't know what the formula needs to be to grow. So that number, that's good data that we can actually use to build your business. So what would you say? I mean, so your goal in 2014 or in 15 is what? Go ahead and tell me your low goal.
40.
40 deals.
40
okay.
Plus transactions.
40 plus. Let's add the plus on it, so that gives you okay, so that could be 200, right? 40 to 200. So no, really, 40 deals is a fantastic goal. It's a realistic goal, and and I don't make light of 40 is not small business. 40 is good business. So I'm just kind of picking on you a little bit, but at the same token, I'm a coach, okay? And no matter what you do, I feel like you can do more. That's my job. Okay, and whether it doesn't mean you have to, but I just know it's in you, and I accept the challenge to pull it out of you so you can get the benefits of it. So we'll start with strengths. In your mind, if you've set a goal to be 40 deals or plus in 2015, I have to assume that you believe there's a chance that you can hit it. So what is it? What are some of your strengths that you think you've either developed or you have right now, or maybe you've had for years, that's going to allow you to hit 40 deals?
Well, the strengths really have come from role-playing scripts, studying the scripts, and again, kind of embracing them, using them, embracing the presentation and not winging it, right? Having it mapped out. And then the support that's around all of us, from you to the guy to my right, here's you, the guy to my left, the guy in front. We all are a team, and so I know that if I'm having a down day, there's always someone there to kind of push me, motivate me forward.
Yeah. So you've got strengths. So your skills are growing. You think your skills are getting better.
Yes.
Of course, the environment. You're speaking on the environment, so there's a lot of support around you. What else? What is it about Jeff that says, I can do this because I am this, and fill in that. I can do this because I am blank.
I'm a lot more confident.
Okay. Okay. So here's what I want you to do, and you might not write this down right now, but I said here, and if you can write this down, I want you to, because I'm going to come back to this.
Okay.
There's going to be days where you're going to question whether or not you're going to be able to do your deals. There's going to be days. We all have set goals, and there's going to be days where we're going to say, gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And what I want you to be, and I want you to do is I want you to have something in your station, in your desk area. I want you to have that statement. I can do this. I can do 40 deals because I am confident. See, you're going to forget that. When you get in the middle of all this work and 2015 comes along, you're going to be excited, like, okay, this is the year. I'm going to have my next breakthrough. And we know that going from 6 deals to 24 deals to 40 deals plus, we know that also adds a whole new dynamic for your family. I mean, there's more income, there's more responsibility. I mean, there's pros and cons. There's all kinds of things that's going to come from this. And at some point, those things are going to be exciting, and then sometimes they're going to be stressful. And it's those days that they become stressful that you're going to forget, or there's a chance. I just based on my coaching experience, there's going to be days that you forget that you're confident.
Right.
And those days that you forget that you have that confidence are going to be the days that you don't do the contacts. You don't ask somebody to live with you when you're at the end of a presentation, so you don't close on them. Those are going to be the days that you maybe slip up and don't do as much follow-up. And so what we have to do is we have to recognize those days that you're not doing the activities that you need to do in order to hit those deals. And the way that I want you to kind of snap out of it is just look at that statement. I can do 40 deals because I'm confident. Okay, in a way, it's an affirmation, and I'm kind of coaching you to have one affirmation. And you know what? The reality is you can choose a different affirmation, but out of this coaching session that we're having, that's the one thing that came to my mind. If it fits, if it feels good, then use it. If there's something else you want to change it to, then change it. I want you to own it. But one of the things that I'm not going to forget is I'm not going to forget that you said it. So when I look at you, in the office and you don't look confident, I'm going to ask you to repeat that statement. So don't forget it, okay? So let's do this. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's flip the script here and say, let me ask you this. So assuming that you don't reach the goal, because you've been around me long enough, I like to look at worst case scenarios. My belief is if we will look at what could go wrong, and we can create a solution before it goes wrong, then it never goes wrong.
Right.
So it's easy to talk about, oh yes, how great it is to do 40 deals, or if I do 40 deals, it's because I was confident all year. But if you don't do your 40 deals, what would the reason be? Like, what is a weakness that maybe you have that you need to strengthen? And that we could actually talk about. What are some of your weaknesses?
A weakness. Do
you have any weaknesses?
The drunk monkey.
Okay.
It goes through my head. There are times where you just feeling off for whatever reason. Just kind of, maybe it's because it's, a 2-year-old who keeps you up all night, or, whatever, personal things. You kind of come in, you just kind of not feeling it. So sometimes. Yeah, those will be my weaknesses. Is that when I don't want to commit 100%. I may come in and go through the motions, and do it, but I'm not giving out the full energy that's needed and deserved. So I may make the contacts, but maybe I'm doing it kind of down instead of just up and going. So
like you're just going through the motions, going through the motions.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? I mean, that's a weakness I think that we all have. I think we all come in, at times. One day we come in and we're on fire. We're feeling like, oh my goodness. If anyone, if I talk to anyone, they are going to do something with me. If there's a buyer who's looking to buy, they're going to love me. They're going to buy from me. If there's a seller looking to sell, they are going to hire me because I'm the highest quality prospect that they have. So, I get that. We all kind of experience that. But what else? I mean, like, what is something that you need to get better at in order to reach this goal?
Schedule.
Okay, got it. Schedule. So is it safe to say, and there could be other things, but we'll use the one that you chose, is it safe to say that in order for you, or how would I say this, in the event that you don't make your goal, it's likely because of your schedule?
Yes.
Okay, so consider writing that one down and putting that on your station. Because I think there's two things right now that I want to really focus on you, focus on with you, and that is confidence and schedule. So you have the confidence, yet the schedule could knock you down. And I bet you that it's a cycle. I bet you when your schedule is off, then you lack confidence. You start losing confidence. And I bet you when your confidence is high, you probably stick to your schedule. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty much right on. When I have so then it becomes just being prepared, so when I'm prepared and I have my schedule laid out for the day, the week, whatever it may be, and I stick to it, then certainly that's when things go good. And when I am unprepared and don't really stick or follow my schedule, then sure, then I'm off, and therefore I'm not confident about how my day is supposed to look.
Got it. Okay. So who knocks you off your schedule?
I do.
Okay. Good answer. I was kind of setting you up to see if you were going to be a victim or a victor. Were you going to blame somebody else, or were you going to accept responsibility? So what? I know nobody else but you knocks you off, but so now tell me what knocks you off your schedule.
Laziness.
Okay, got it. Got it. So it's you again.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what is the trigger? So for those of you that are listening, and I'm really focusing on Jeff right now, not you that are listening, but I just want everyone to get something here out of this one conversation, and that is when you, Jeff, can understand what triggers you to be lazy, if it's an awareness, right? We've talked a lot about awareness with Matthew Ferry. We talked a lot about awareness. When you can become aware of the triggers that push you into being lazy, and so once you become aware of them, you can do something about it. You can then choose to reverse it. But if you're not aware of those triggers, then technically you're a victim. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm lazy again. But if you know what the triggers are, then you're a victor. You can do something about those triggers. You understand when you know what the triggers are, you're in control, and then it becomes a choice. Do I choose to be lazy, or do I not choose to be lazy? But if you don't know the triggers, then you're a victim of just being lazy. And we know right now, if I'm just following the pattern that you're sharing with us, lazy takes you off your schedule. You being off your schedule influences your confidence, and then we get into that vicious cycle, and now all of a sudden we're in that area of, ooh, maybe I won't be able to reach this goal. So what triggers laziness? And by the way, I know you're really not lazy. I would have never used that term with you, just being by you all the day, every day. But you know what the key is? That's your word, so let's live in that world.
Yeah.
What triggers that for you?
It's a good question that I probably need to sit down with myself and ask. Figure out whether it's actual laziness, or being maybe overwhelmed or tired, or I don't know. But there are times that I feel like because I'm off my schedule and I can't get motivated to get through it, then I feel like I'm just being, then to me I'm saying, you know what, you're just being a lazy SOB.
Got it. So that's kind of like a word you use to punish yourself.
Yeah.
Or it's like that's a word you use to call yourself out.
Yes.
Okay, good. So whenever you're feeling lazy though, what can you do to snap out of that? Or whenever you're feeling the things that you would describe as lazy, what can you do?
What do I normally do is I'll check out for a little bit, kind of, just gather myself, gather my thoughts, think about, my why. What am I doing, and then just kind of pull together.
Okay, so I'm going to just give you another suggestion that maybe you can try, and I think it'll work really well around our office, is, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And so what I mean like that is maybe you could go, up to another agent, say either myself or Mitch, or it could be any of the agents that you're around during the day, and you just walk up to them and say, hey, I want to run something by you, or I just want to mention something to you for a minute. You say, Jeff, hey, look, I just want to let you know I'm feeling lazy. And when I'm feeling lazy, what ends up happening, and it takes me off my schedule, and as soon as I get off my schedule, I start losing confidence. And so here's what I'm asking you to do, Jeff. Now that I've shared this with you, can you just kind of hold me accountable to getting back on track? Because I'm fully committed to reaching my goals, but I am also understanding that if I stay in this same mindset, that there's no chance that I'm going to reach them. Can you hold me accountable to that? Can you help me with that? Can you just ask me about it every once in a while? Like, give somebody permission to walk by you and say, hey, man, you feeling lazy today? Because you're not going to answer yes. And even if you were feeling lazy, your ego's going to kick in and you're going to say, oh, no way, man. No way, not me. And all of a sudden, boom, you're back into the zone.
Right.
So, the key is whenever whatever these triggers are, what we tend to do is we tend to try to hide them. We don't want anyone to know that I'm lazy or I feel lazy. So we tend to hide those triggers and say, oh gosh, I'm just not, I'm just not sticking to my schedule. The challenge for you, Jeff, is you're never going to be able to hide from me again. Because the next time you say, oh, I'm having a challenge, sticking to my schedule, I'm going to say, no, you're not, man. Tell somebody else that. Tell your wife that. Tell your kids that. Don't tell me that. I just know you're being lazy. So if you're committed to missing your goal, continue being lazy. If you're committed to hitting your goal, snap out of it. It's a choice. Sound good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do with you as your coach. This is one of the things that I'm going to do with you. So let's talk a little bit more about your goal. So you want to do 40 deals. How did you choose 40 deals? It's 2014. We're going into 2015. It's time to make commitments. How did you choose that goal? What did you look at or think about that said 40 is the number?
Well, meeting with Eric tomorrow to go through kind of my numbers, tracking where I've been, where I'm at, and to kind of help project where I should be. So, but I got
hold on one second. They don't know who Eric is. For those of you that would never know who Eric is my CFO, and he's in charge of analyzing the numbers of every agent, and then sits down and meets with you to share with you, okay, this is what your numbers are, this is what you're on track to do. We can kind of predict what pace somebody's on. So you're going to have that meeting with Eric tomorrow, okay?
Correct. So already receiving those numbers and looking at them myself before meeting with him tomorrow, my projection then is 40 plus deals seems very realistic,
okay,
and obtainable.
Okay, so why not 100?
It's the mindset. I mean,
Yeah, you just don't believe it. I mean, listen.
Right. And I look at the numbers. I believe I can do 40.
Got it. So listen, understand. You got to hear me clearly here. I don't think you should do 100. I don't think you should do 40. I don't think you should do any number.
Right.
Except the number that you want to do.
Right.
But what I asked you the question, why not 100? And only thing that was important is how you would react or respond to that question. It was very telling. And so, the key is it's okay sometimes to set a goal that you don't believe. Because remember, a goal is something we measure at the end of a process that we followed. So, in other words, like at the end of the year, you're going to do, say, 40 deals. 40 plus deals, okay? But that is nothing more than a result of a process that you followed for the 12 previous months.
Right.
So one of the things that I want you to consider, especially going into the meeting with Eric tomorrow, I want you to consider that consider looking at the process and saying to yourself, what would the process have to be to do 40 deals? What would the process have to be to do 60 deals? What would the process have to be to do 80 deals? And do it one more time. What would the process have to be to do 100 deals? So 40, 60, 80, 100. And actually look at what the process would have to be. In other words, I know this is a little tedious, but what I'm asking you to do is build 4 business plans. Now, it shouldn't take hours. It might take an hour, might take an hour and a half, but actually build out 4 different business plans for 40, 60, 80, and 100 deals. Is that 4, 40, 60, 80, 100? Yes. So build out those 4 business plans, and then look at the process for each one of those plans, and then ask the question all over again. And instead of saying, what is my goal, 40, 60, 80, 100, ask yourself this question. Could you do what it takes? Could you follow the process to do 100 deals? The answer may be no. Could you follow the process to do 80 deals? The answer may be no. Who knows what the answer is going to be? But you should be making decisions on 2015's business plan based on your belief of you being able to follow a certain plan, a process, not based on what you believe you can do. Because the reality is you shouldn't believe you can do 40. Just two years ago, 2.5 years ago, you did 6. The last thing anybody should believe that they did 6 is that they can do 40. So to me, picking 40 would be no different than pick 60. There's no evidence that you're going to be able to do either one. The key is, and that's why that number is insignificant. What really matters is the actions that it will take in order to achieve it. Actually build the business plan and then look at the different plans and ask yourself, which one of these do I believe I can really actually follow? And then let that influence the end of the year goal. Because at the end of the day, you just need to follow a simple plan every single day. Remember, it's simple but not easy. You follow a simple plan every day for about 200 to 220 consecutive days, and you will hit a really, really big goal. Thoughts on that, on choosing a goal? And again, 40 is perfectly fine. It's a fantastic goal, but I also want to make sure that you're thinking through this process differently than we typically think. We typically choose chocolate ice cream because we tasted chocolate before and it was pretty good. So, okay, I'll just take chocolate. But how do you know that strawberry's not okay? You've never tasted it. You've never looked at it. All you're doing is looking at one is strawberry and one's chocolate, so you're making a choice. Let's actually get into this a little bit deeper.
So,
what's
Greg,
your thoughts on that? Go ahead.
I got a question for you real quick, Greg. So I'm sitting back here kind of thinking as a viewer, for Jeff, maybe he visually sees 40 or 40 plus and sees the process and the actions to get there, but the plan to get 60, 80, or 100 is different in his mind. And so my question is, what action steps are different between hitting a number like 40 or 45 or 50 compared to hitting 60, 80, or 100? What are the different actions and process in that plan that would have to be different to help him get there?
Okay, yeah, great question. So obviously, do you have any thoughts on that, Jeff? And I've got some thoughts. But
I'd like to hear thoughts.
Okay, good. So, one of the things is more contacts, right? Now, that's the easy, very basic, every coach in the world would have answered it that way, right? But the key is, in order to, he's already making 24, you're already, Jeff, making 24 contacts a day. The reality is you're not going to be making 100 contacts a day. It's just probably something you'll never choose to do. So let's just say, though, you want to do 100 transactions. Then person that's doing 100 transactions a lot of times will have a team. Maybe they have one person that's out there making a certain amount of contacts for them, getting so they can add on additional appointments, listing presentations, or buyer appointments throughout the week. So the process could be, depending on what the number is he may have to use leverage. He may have to actually get somebody to do some things that he can leverage, and then make sure that what he's doing is the most profitable activities during the day. So I would go to looking at how many listing presentations is it going to take, and then so if it's going to take, if he's got to do 8 listing presents, or let's say 15 presentations a week, that would be a big number, 15 per week. Then we know that would take a lot of contacts, but he might not physically be able to make all those contacts. So who is? Is it going to be a telemarketer? Is he going to take on say a newer agent and do a deal with them for a year and have them do some prospecting, and then and do some sort of co-listing agreements and things like that? These are all things that can be done. Now, one of the things that I have on my list to discuss with you, Jeff, is one thing that we know that needs to be done just to get to 40, but especially beyond 40, is you have to add pillars. So tell me this, and we'll talk about pillars. And Scott, this is going to be an additional answers to your question here. Is what pillars? What do you do right now? What is your main focus with in building your business? I mean, who are you going after? Where are your deals coming from?
Yeah, so expireds, withdrawals, for sale by owners, and then cold calling, just listed, just sold.
Okay, got it. So you're mostly telephone prospecting. Okay, so you got expireds and withdrawals. Okay, so just what is a number of expireds or withdrawals that you can talk to during the day? Like that actually you can get on the phone.
10 to 12. Maybe
10 to 12, and yeah, and that would be including old expireds.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. Okay, so that would not be just new expires. So what we have to do is we have to figure out, we take that pillar and we say, okay, if you're making, let's just round it up, 10 contacts a day, then we've got to answer this question. What is it going to take to make 15 contacts a day in the category of expireds withdrawals? So I'm not asking you that question, but that is a question you should write down, because that's going to be critical, because we know that that's a high quality resource. So if he goes from 10 contacts to 15 contacts, that's one of the highest quality resources, and he's increasing his contacts by 50%, which I can assure you will increase his number of leads by 50%, his number of appointments by 50%, and his number of listings by 15%. So there's all kinds of things that it's going to take, that it's going to require of him in order to do that. But we want to move that needle from 10 to 15, 50%, increase. What about for sale by owners? How many for sale by owners do you talk to on a daily basis? New for sale by owners.
Well, I call them once a week.
Yeah.
So 5.
Okay, so how do we get that number to 20? Because we know there are tons of them out there. So I automatically know just by that number 5, and knowing the market well enough to know that there's a lot more than 5 in our market, that there's a lot of upside right there. So, I mean, there are people that are just working expires and for sale by owners in their centers of influence and past customers that are doing 100+ transactions. So we know it's out there. All we have to do, Jeff, is dissect your business and find out what your numbers are and move the needle. Go from 10 expires to 15. Go from 5 to 20 for sale by owners. I mean, from 5 to 20, that's a huge, that's 4 times, 400% increase. Think how that's going to trickle down. As a matter of fact, what will likely happen, and this is what I said at the beginning of this call, is that it's 24 contacts a day, and you did 24 deals, but I bet in 2015 that you will do more deals than the amount of contacts that you make daily. And the reason is because we'll increase the quality of contacts that you're doing on a daily basis, which the quality contacts take a longer time on the phone. So the average call time is going to be longer with the quality contacts. So you're going to be forced to make less contacts per hour or per day. But at the same time that your contacts per hour are going down, your appointments per hour is going to go up.
Right.
So the difference, Scott, to answer your question is we have to look at what he's doing and improve on it, and be able to increase the number of contacts in the high quality area. we could go through that, and I'm sure there's all kinds of ways that Jeff and I will talk about, in the next couple of weeks on how he's going to do that. But that's really the main answer. Now, the other thought here is Jeff. What do you feel? What do you feel that I need to be coaching you on that I'm currently not coaching you on? What are some conversations that we just haven't had that you feel like we should be having?
You coach us on so much, so it's hard to pinpoint. Is there something that I'm missing? As I'm still trying to learn what you are coaching us on. Looking at a journal. One of the things with schedule is the schedule kind of being, staying connected to my business and business plan. I have my journal right here, and I was going through it at lunch and looking at all the things that you have suggested and plans that I've put down, and things that I could do and just ideas. And I look and go, gosh, I forgot about that one. Didn't execute this one. So really maybe going back and looking at some of those things, giving a harder look and pulling away from them. And then once I do that, maybe kind of talking more on those items to say, okay, why didn't I execute this before? What do I need to do to execute it moving forward?
Okay, good. So you've got your journal, which is a past coaching conversation we've had, or I had with the whole company. I definitely didn't require. I wish I could, but I can't do that. But I did request that every single agent in my company get a journal. And every single meeting and coaching call and coaching session that we have, or anything that they're doing that has to do with learning, make sure they write all their notes in a journal. And the whole purpose is because at the end of this year, I want every single one of you, Jeff, I want you to go through like you've been doing, and I want you to go through that journal. And I want you to highlight. I want you to take a highlighter, and I want you to highlight all the things that you know that if you would have executed these things, then you would already be at the next level. Do you think that there's a chance? Do you think that you already know what it's going to take to actually get to the next level? Do you already have that information?
Yes.
So what's holding you back from executing what you already know is the answer.
Well, I'm actually looking at something that says execution, think black or white, do or don't. And so just, looking at those things, and earlier in the conversation I was thinking, gosh, what could I do? And it would be to get rid of some distractions, stop doing some of the things that are not dollar producing activities. When I get done prospecting, sometimes I'll tend to, okay, let me, check emails or do this, and you kind of tend to steer away from what really matters, and we'll just kind of, go through stuff that doesn't matter for whatever reason, because maybe you feel like you create this, this is important, but at the end of the day, it's something I could do at the end of the day, and really just concentrate more on what's going to generate that appointment today.
Got it. So I like what you just said, but I'm going to go back because I really don't think you answered my question. Okay. So I'm going to ask this question again. Do you already know how or what you need to do in order to get to the next level? You've got a journal in your hand, right?
Yes.
Is there a lot of ideas in that journal you've never executed?
Yes.
On some of those ideas, do you think there's value to them? Like, if I executed this, there's going to be deals there.
Yes.
Okay. You're only 16 deals away from 40.
Right.
24 deals is only 16 away from 40. If you take the journal, open it up, do you believe that within the first 3 pages of your journal, you could probably execute and find 16 deals?
Yes.
Okay, how many pages do you have written there? Just guess.
I don't know, 30.
Okay, so do you think that there's a possibility that you could have 25 deals sitting in that journal, but they're not sitting in your bank account because you just haven't executed?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, really? Or you don't have to say it to me.
Yeah, no,
I
I
mean,
think,
do
well,
you
yeah, I
really
mean, I
believe
think
that?
there's one part of it is we'll note these thoughts and ideas down, and it's kind of like, okay, great at that moment, and then you tend to put the journal down because you go into other things, and then you don't come back to it for three
Yeah.
months until an event like this, and it's where you should schedule. So I think it comes back to scheduling the time to look at those and execute.
hmm Yeah. So here's the reason why I'm asking this question is because as your coach, what I'm thinking is you and I over the next 2 weeks, I'll be in Atlanta this coming week. But the week that I get back, I think we really, here's my homework for you. I
Okay.
request that you do. I request that you take a highlighter and go through your journal and highlight all the things that you feel you would be willing to execute this upcoming year. So, and it's very important because you're the one that has to buy into this. I'm not going to tell you what to execute and what not to execute because you're only going to listen to yourself. You're not going to listen to anyone else. Comes from within. So you have to really be honest and say, okay, which one of these ideas or multiple ideas am I willing to execute? But I also want you to take a different color highlighter, and I want you to highlight the ones that you're not willing to execute.
I like
And then
that.
I want to ask you the question, why? Because what I'm clear on, Jeff, is and I didn't, the thing about these the hangouts here is none of this conversation is scripted. We're just having conversations as if we were in the office. And what just dawned on me is this is the way I feel like I can help you get to the next level is by helping you execute on things that you already know you can do. Now there might be a little gap. Maybe there's some things that you have in your journal that you don't know exactly how to do it, but you wrote it down. You put the highlight on it, so you know enough about it that you believe and have confidence that by doing it you will actually have some benefits. So instead of trying to figure out what's this new thing we have to discover to get you to the next level, how about let's just focus on executing what we already know how to do and then keep it simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so good. So again, just like tracking your numbers, if you weren't keeping a journal, then we wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
And boy, let me tell you, as a coach, it's going to be much more easy for me to get you to execute things that you already wrote down than it is to get you to think of things that you've never heard of before or are not familiar with. We've only got to create 16 transactions. And the reason why I said I thought 40 was small was because I actually believe you can be producing at a much higher level. Now, I understand it takes time. You've only been at the company for 18 months, perfectly fine. But of course, I'm a coach, and just like any coach of any sport, they always want their teammates to get there faster and win at a higher margin. So, part of me, I'm just being that coach and just says, hey, man, I'm your number one fan and supporter, and I think you can go further. But what I'm hoping is at the end of this call that you recognize that we're only 16 deals away from 24. And in the first 3 pages, you probably have enough ideas to add the extra 16 deals. So if we go ahead and execute everything on the first 3 pages, and you continue to do everything that you already did to get the 24, then in the next couple of weeks, we could already set your business up to do the 40. What the heck are we going to do the rest of the year?
Right.
Why wouldn't every single quarter we go through this exercise. Put it on your calendar. Every quarter, you're going to go through the journal and you're going to write. You're going to circle things and said, hey, what am I willing to execute next quarter? What am I afraid to execute next quarter? What if we did that for 4 consecutive quarters for the next year? I think 2016, you'll have a quantum leap. 2015, in my mind, needs to be 40 plus, but the reality is 2015 for you is just building the structure, putting the foundation in place for you to have massive breakthroughs in 2016. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a plan.
Okay, good. Well, I'm committed. Okay.
Okay.
So any questions for me, anything else that I can help you with, or anything that's on the top of your mind before we start winding down? Scott, you got any questions?
I do have a question for you. Greg,
Okay.
how important do you think this next step that Jeff's taking is leverage his time during the day to where I'm not sure exactly how your business is structured as far as what his day-to-day is, but as far as like a lot of the paperwork things, the transaction coordination, I mean, is that all built into your business already where he's not having to do that? Or I feel like when I talk to a lot of agents, the step from 24 or 25 deals to 40 plus is being able to kind of leverage your time and some of the things you're doing that are non-sales production to an assistant or something of that nature.
Jeff, you want to answer that question?
Well, there are a lot of administrative things that I do take care of, and there are a lot of administrative things that are given off, kind of in-house. So certainly I could see that getting to a point, and I think a great thing you said, Greg, is to check this quarterly, and really I should personally be looking at it more, but then reviewing it with you quarterly. And since we've implemented, Eric really meeting with us now, checking our numbers, a big part of that. So with that, then looking and saying, okay, at a certain point, I would feel there would be the need to be able to leverage all that admin work so that I am focused just on generating and not processing.
Yeah. So Scott, we do the processing of paperwork. Is we have a listing coordinator at the company and a closing coordinator that handles closings, but there still is a little bit of work that has to be done in order, to make the transition from a deal that he just negotiates to get it to the closing department. The good thing is a lot less administrative in our office than most. So most people won't need an assistant in our company until maybe they do about 60 transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot, is a lot different than most companies, but it's because a lot of that work is being shifted to the staff. The key right now, I think, again, to getting for you, Jeff, to get to the next level is if we were to take a stopwatch and put you on a stopwatch test, and I was to stand over you for 1 week solid, and I was to click the button and let their time run while you're doing things that are highly important, it requires high skills, and they're money-making ideas. And then when you're not doing one of those things, I was to turn the stopwatch off. The reality is that with Jeff, as well as just about every agent in America, actually, Jeff, you're probably, a little bit more efficient than a lot. But, the average time that a real estate agent is really doing a lot of work, that it's work that they should be doing, is probably less than about an hour and a half a day. So they're working 8 hours. They're in motion for 8 hours, but they're really only doing high profitable activities for an hour to an hour and a half per day. So what I look at with somebody like Jeff is identifying what that number is and then seeing how we can double it. And so sometimes, if let's just say that Jeff was 2 hours and we want to go to 4 hours, sometimes to double his efficiency on high quality activities doesn't require adding a team or adding staff. Sometimes it just requires cutting out a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter.
Right.
So before we go on and building on, staff members, I'm going to look at what we can cut out way before I'm going to look at how to leverage. The best person to leverage is leveraging himself.
Got it.
Because he's got the skills. So leverage the person that has the highest skills before you go and outsource it. But so, one of the things that when I'm coaching, people come to me all the time, say, hey, I think I'm ready for an assistant. And here's what I ask them. I said, okay, how many hours is your assistant going to work? I'm going to hire an assistant for 40 hours. I'll say, great. Okay. So how many hours will your assistant will take away from you? Like, how many hours will what they do take away from you? In other words, how many more free hours will you have during the day? And then most people don't know the answer. Okay. So
well,
that's
a great question, because what are you going to do? Give them all 40 hours of your work?
Yeah, exactly. So
right.
so let's just say we'll follow this question. So how many hours are you going to hire an assistant for? 40 hours. Okay. So based on the activities the assistant's going to do, how much time is that going to free you up free you up every day? And then sometimes they'll say, well, at least 3 hours a day. And then I say this. In order to determine if adding an assistant is going to be profitable, you have to be able to tell me what you're going to invest your additional 3 hours doing. The profit on the assistant is not them saving you 3 hours. It's how you reinvest those 3 hours and the profits that you make from those 3 hours. And until somebody in my coaching client base, until somebody tells me what they're going to reinvest that time doing, then I suggest that they rethink actually hiring an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts or anything else? I think I'm about all coached out for today, but I'm always open for a question, but I've got everything off my mind.
I think you nailed it. I mean, I don't have any other questions. I think we went through this thoroughly. Jeff, do you have any other questions?
I don't. I feel, Greg, we've got something set up that I'm going to get started on right away as far as highlighting and
good,
so that we can, when you get back, meet and get things prepared.
Yeah, what's interesting, Jeff, and one of the things that I like about what we're going to be doing here with your journal is I could do this with 10 agents in my office, and all 10 of you would have different things that you would highlight. So it's really interesting how, depending on how you're listening dictates what you write down, and then depending on how you're feeling is going to dictate which ones you're going to circle and highlight. So I'm excited. So I just want to say thank you for everyone that's attended, live, and I'm sure there's going to be some many more of you that are going to watch this, recorded version. Scott, I appreciate your time, and Jeff, I appreciate the opportunity to coach you, and I'm excited to report to everyone, sooner than later that you've busted through a 40 deal plus goal.
Me too.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome.
All right. So, Greg, just any final thoughts to the people watching and what we're going to see next month?
I haven't chosen the agent for next month yet. I've got a couple, we got a little bit of travel, and I just want to make sure that, that the agents are in the office and can attend. But I can just tell you we're gonna have another great coaching session, at the beginning of next month. And if anyone wants to ever email me any questions or any topics they wish I would coach on, a lot of times that that can influence maybe the agent that I choose. And then I just want to say at some point, Scott, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just offer to your client database, maybe we'd do something fun where we would just do a random drawing of anybody that wants a coaching call with me. I will just randomly coach them blind. They just show up, I'll ask them questions, and for an hour you can just see me coach somebody completely blind that I don't know anything about. So I think that would be fun. And other than that, I'm good to go. Oh, let me say one other thing. Jeff, can you give everybody your email address, contact information, just in case anybody wants to send a referral down to you to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina?
Sure. Jeff Buehler, Buehler. So Jeff at grandstrandhomeguide.com. Jeff at grandstrandhomeguide.com. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody.